I am hesitating if I should visit my abusive father on his deathbed. I'm 31 male, facing a deeply emotional decision about seeing my dying father, a man who verbally and mentally abused me throughout my childhood. He's now 67 and on his deathbed due to cancer and other health complications, including 2 heart attacks and a stroke. My mother and 2 younger sisters are pressuring me to visit him, while my wife thinks I should consider going just once. But I'm torn because I have no desire to see this man, and honestly, I wouldn't feel any guilt if I never did. Growing up, my father made my life miserable. No matter how hard I tried, nothing was ever good enough for him. I poured myself into school, worked tirelessly at karate, and achieved things I was proud of, but he didn't care. When I earned a full scholarship to a prestigious university, he barely acknowledged it. Even when I became valedictorian of my graduating class, there wasn't a single word of pride from him. At 26, I launched a small company that has since grown into a success story, but again, not even a nod of approval. He wasn't just indifferent, he was cruel. He constantly belittled me, calling me useless, worthless, and a failure. That kind of treatment leaves scars, and even today, I carry the weight of those words. The one thing I longed for as a child was for him to say, "I'm proud of you," even just once. Instead, he lavished all his love and kindness on my 3 sisters and my mother. They were the apples of his eye, showered with smiles, laughter, and gentle words. I'll admit, I hated them for it back then. It felt so unfair that they got to experience a version of my father I could only dream of. How could they escape his cruelty while I bore the brunt of it? That jealousy poisoned my relationships with them for a long time. But as I grew older, I realized they weren't to blame for his behavior, and I worked hard to rebuild those relationships. Today, I love my sisters and my mom deeply, and I do anything for them. But my father? That's another story. I've kept him completely out of my life. He wasn't even invited to my wedding, a decision that raised a lot of eyebrows in the family, but I didn't care. My wedding day was about celebrating love and joy, and I wasn't going to let his presence ruin that. My uncle, who understood firsthand how difficult my father could be, supported me. He'd experienced similar treatment as my dad's younger brother, so he understood why I wouldn't want him there. Now though, everything has come to a head. My father, knowing his time is running out, has asked to see me. My wife, while not pushing me, thinks I should consider going just once. She says it might give me some closure, but she'll respect whatever decision I make. My mother and younger sisters, however, are relentless. They've been calling and visiting me, insisting that I should pay him a visit. Only my oldest sister, who's 34, understands where I'm coming from. She witnessed my father's abuse firsthand when we were kids and knows how deeply it affected me. I met with her recently to talk about everything, and for the first time in years, I broke down. I cried like I hadn't in ages, pouring out all the pain I've been carrying. I told her I just can't do it. No matter how much time has passed, I still hate what he did to me and the mental scars he left behind. I can't forgive him, and I can't pretend otherwise. She listened and told me she understood. She even offered to speak to our mom and younger sisters to try and ease their pressure on me. Despite her support, the rest of the family won't let up. My mom and younger sisters are persistent, and it's wearing me down. They see this as a chance for me to make peace, but I'm not sure I want peace with a man who made my life so difficult. So, here I am, wondering what the right thing to do is. Should I go, even just once, to see him before he dies? Part of me feels like it might bring closure, but another part feels like I'd be betraying myself by giving in to the pressure. What do you all think? Should I visit him, or is it okay to hold my ground and let things stay as they are? I want to see my dad, and as I feared, it was a complete disaster. I caved, plain and simple. Despite all my convictions, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, there was something worth hearing from him. So I decided to go, hoping for closure or some clarity. I went alone, no wife, no mom, no sisters. Just me and him in that sterile hospital room. The man lying in that bed didn't look like the father I remembered. He was old, frail, and tired, a shadow of the man who had haunted my childhood. For a brief moment, I couldn't summon my anger. What was the point of being mad at someone who was already broken and on his way out of this world? Yet, even as I tried to let go of the anger, I found myself furious, not at him, but at the situation. I wanted him to see me, the man I had become. I wanted him to face the son he had dismissed and treated like nothing, a son who had built a beautiful life despite him. We sat in silence for nearly an hour. Neither of us spoke. The weight of everything unsaid was suffocating. Finally, I found my voice and said, "You know this is the last time we'll ever see each other, right?" He didn't respond immediately. After a moment, he simply said, "I know." I pressed on, asking the question that had been gnawing at me. "Why now? Why did you want to see me so badly that you had to send a message through Mom?" What came next shattered me. He admitted that he hadn't wanted to see me for his sake. He'd only done it because he thought it would give my mom closure. She hadn't even asked him to do it. He just knew it was something she wanted. That's when it hit me. My existence meant nothing to him. I asked him why he had treated me the way he did my entire life. Why all the cruelty, all the neglect? His answer was as brutal as it was final. "I never wanted a son. I never had any interest in one." Those words cut deeper than anything I'd ever experienced. But he didn't stop there. He went on to say that in the first few years of my life, he had tried to care about me, but eventually realized he couldn't. Then came the final blow, the one that drove the last nail into the coffin of any hope I had for reconciliation. "I never loved you," he said, "but I didn't hate you either. I just didn't care for you. I never wanted a son. I even thought about giving you up for adoption, but your mother would never have forgiven me. So I pushed you aside. You kept trying to get my approval, and sometimes I felt bad about it, but I just didn't care for you." By then, I was crying. A 31-year-old man, standing in a hospital room, tears streaming down my face in front of the father who had just admitted he never gave a damn about me. I didn't say another word. I turned and walked out of that room, tears blurring my vision as I made my way to my car. Once inside, I broke down completely. I sobbed like I hadn't in years. I could have gone my whole life without knowing that, without hearing those words that confirmed everything I'd always feared deep down. Now, I'm angry, angrier than I've been in a long time. At my mom, my sisters, my wife, and most of all, at my dad. There was a small part of me, deep inside, that had hoped we could bury the hatchet. That maybe, in his final days, he'd find it in himself to say something, anything, that would make the pain of my childhood a little easier to bear. But no, all I learned was that he never cared. I've made up my mind. I will never speak of my father again. I won't attend his funeral, and I won't visit his grave. When the day comes that he leaves this world, I'll be at a bar, raising a glass to the fact that he's finally gone. And I will make it my mission to be the kind of father he never was. Edit. I just want to thank everyone for the kind words, both in comments and private messages. Your support has been a lifeline, especially when I was hungover this morning, lying in bed and thinking about everything. To the stranger who gave me gold, thank you. That was unexpected but deeply appreciated. Yesterday opened up wounds I didn't even realize were still there. I've decided to talk to my wife about this and seek help from a professional. This pain is too big for me to carry alone, and I need to work through it if I want to move forward. As for my mom and sisters, I'm not cutting them out of my life. I love them, and I don't blame them for having a different experience with my father. But right now, I need space. I can't be around them while I'm trying to process all of this. So, for the time being, I don't think they'll be hearing much from me. Once again, thank you to everyone who took the time to comment or message me. Your words helped me realize that I can't let my father have any more power over me. I'm in the prime of my life, and I've built something I'm proud of without his approval. I don't need it now. Here's hoping things will get better from here. Now on to the next story, story 2. Ended a 5-year-old relationship for rejecting my fiancé's wish on our wedding day. This is a throwaway account, and I would really appreciate your honest opinions, as I'm being pressured by everyone except my aunt to go against my wishes. I'm a 30-year-old woman, and I've been with my fiancée, Emma, for the past 5 years. We're the same age, and we met in grad school. When I was 13, my loving dad passed away. He left a decent amount of money for us, and within 6 months, my mom got engaged to a man named Tom. Tom had a daughter around my age. My mom married Tom within a year of my dad's passing. From the start, Tom really hated me and didn't try to hide it. He'd make comments like how my mom should have sent me to a boarding school and how if it wasn't for my dad's inheritance, he wouldn't have me living in his house. He even called me a bulldyke because I was on the school sports team and was athletic. Tom repeatedly told my mom that he didn't feel safe with me around his daughter. At that point, I was still just a kid, but he used that as an excuse to exclude me from everything. On the other hand, my mom was doing everything she could to prove to Tom that she was now the new mom to his little girl. They ended up having 3 more kids together. I became more like a roommate to my mom, who expected me to babysit her new family. I never had a birthday celebration or any special day to call my own. My dad's sister, however, was incredible to me. I spent a lot of time at her place, and she and her family always celebrated my birthdays. My mom would make excuses not to show up, and the rest of the family didn't care either. Honestly, my aunt and uncle were more like parents to me than my own mom. When I left for university, I tried to contact my mom a few times, but she was always too busy, so I eventually gave up. Here's the problem. Emma, my fiancée, comes from a very family-oriented background. To her, family is everything. When her family asked about mine, I told them my dad passed away and that my mom was busy with her new family and lives across the country. Technically, I didn't lie, but it wasn't the full truth. Emma asked me to invite my family to our wedding, and I told her no. She said it would be embarrassing not to have more of my family there, especially since only my aunt and her family have ever supported me. So, reluctantly, I invited my mom. She called and asked me to apologize to Tom and my step-siblings, then invited them all to the wedding. I refused, and that's when a huge argument started between my mom and me. Now my mom says the only way she'll come is if I invite Tom, his daughter, and their kids. Emma is now pushing me to invite them all because she doesn't want to feel embarrassed in front of her family. These people never even acknowledge my birthdays or send me a card, so I don't understand why I should celebrate my big day with them. But at the same time, I don't want to let Emma down. I just don't know what to do. Should I swallow my pride and invite my mom and her new family to make Emma happy? I even suggested eloping, but Emma firmly said no. Emma knows everything about my past. My aunt even spoke to her about how badly I was treated growing up. I'll have a serious conversation with Emma tonight. I'll try to update soon. Update on my situation. First of all, I want to thank everyone who commented and sent me DMs. Your words really helped me gain some much-needed perspective on my life. After reading your responses, I sat Emma down last night to explain my reasoning for not inviting my family to the wedding. She kept telling me, that was a long time ago. They might not be the same people anymore. I felt really hurt and said, how can you lecture me about this when you've never even met them? It turned out, though, that my mom has been in regular contact with Emma. Emma told me that they've been meeting for coffee dates and talking. I was so angry I almost cried. My mom completely changed the narrative, painting Tom as this wonderful father figure, a protective dad who did no wrong. She claimed that I was the one who didn't accept him, that it was just my habit to play the victim. She even accused my aunt of manipulating me and trying to replace her as my mother. To my mom, it's always about her. I lost it. I screamed, "Are you serious? Ask her next time you meet why I never had a birthday party growing up, why there was never a gift under the tree for me. Ask Tom if he even knows when my birthday is, since he was such a loving dad. Why did my aunt have to pick me up before Christmas Eve? Because Tom wanted to spend the holiday with his kids and not with another man's mistake?" Emma, though, just repeated everything my mom had always said. You love to make a big deal out of everything, always making yourself the victim and pushing everyone away. I told Emma that she had no right to contact my mom. Emma then said I was cruel and that she was just trying to help me fix my broken relationship with my mom. She even called my mom lovely and said that Tom had changed a lot. She claimed he was now an LGBTQ ally, especially since his daughter had come out. I was completely floored. An ally? Maybe he should start by apologizing to me for the way he treated me my entire childhood. I told Emma it was over. I couldn't do this anymore. Emma sarcastically said, "You just proved my mom's point. Go run to your aunt. Let that old witch control your life." I told her she needed to find a new place to stay considering she wasn't paying rent. I was. She got furious and asked me what excuse I was going to make up this time to justify my bullshit trauma. I just stopped replying to her. She went into a rage, breaking our dinner plates. I didn't care. I texted my aunt, and she immediately offered me a place to stay for the night. I told her I was fine, but I appreciated the offer. Today, I took some time off from work to clear my head. I cleaned up the kitchen this morning, which was covered in broken dishes, because I didn't want my cats to get hurt. Emma is still sleeping, and I'm figuring out how to legally evict her from the apartment. I feel like a complete mess, but I'm reaching out to my aunt and uncle for support. I've decided that I'm not going to start dating again until I've seen a therapist and worked on myself. I can't keep going through this toxic cycle.